morning, Judy-Lynn. Thank you for joining us here today. You've been a client of CMiC now for 3 years as the Chief Financial Officer of ServcoCanada, so appreciate the opportunity for you to join us during this podcast.
Thanks for having me, Laurent.
So some of the things we've heard with contractors all over the U.S. and Canada, and I'm sure there's many that we'll definitely dive into. What are some of the, we've heard that there's, doesn't matter whether the U.S. or Canada, but a huge labor shortage in the market of trades, not just staff, but more importantly, people in the field to actually do the work. It's great to win the work, and obviously that's a hard part of it, but what are you finding? We're hearing that to actually find the people to be on the site, do the actual work is a tough thing to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. As the government continues to push housing and net zero, we're finding that there's more and more labor shortages with all the retirement. Less young people are moving into the trades. They seem to be going more the academic route. And there's positives and negatives to both, but we're seeing that there is a significant reduction in the labor available, and there's less tradespeople coming in as apprentices to be able to perform the work that we have coming up in the next 10, 15 years.
So obviously ServcoCanada is a fair-sized company out west, and you're starting to do some work in Ontario. Is something specific that you are doing with the schools locally or even across Canada to try and get more apprentices into the trades?
Yeah, I think that there's multiple avenues where you can attract young people through high school programs. There's different trade schools. So getting into the trade schools, getting into the high schools at a younger age, trying to accomplish exposure, right? As a kid, did you even know this was an option, or is academic always the option that everybody sees? It's advertised, it's readily available. When you're sitting at the dinner table, how often do you hear about the option to go into the trades, or do you hear about go to university? I think that we need to be more forthright with the options to youth through outreach programs, through the different high schools, through trade schools, through different trade conferences that are aimed more towards our younger generation. We're also, through an association that I'm a part of, we are launching a children's book called Susie's Shed in November, and that's to get to an even younger generation where female specific. I know that at my dinner table, I'm in a construction family, and it never even occurred to me that it would be an option for me to be in the trades. So we're going towards the, younger elementary school. Here's an example of what you could be and envision your life as a tradesperson, as an adult, as a young female in the construction environment. So that's coming out in November. So we can try to hit more age groups because eventually, the labor force is going to continue to drop and drop. So let's, hit all of the generations instead of just who's coming in the market today.
I think that's an excellent point, because traditionally it's been a male-dominated industry. So right away we've already lost historically 50% of the population that could pick up a trade and choose that as a career. So pushing that early on is definitely hopefully we'll see some success in that, and getting more females to look at that seriously, as opposed to just only the male side of it.
Absolutely. Right now, there's only 5% of females in construction, so that's a huge loss of resources for our workforce and our trades. Just naturally, it's a male-dominated environment. 5% are females. How do we get that up even to 10 or 15%? That's a pretty big shift in availability for resources.
Yeah, that in itself would probably take care of a huge of that shortage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're working with government to address some of those concerns and to provide different resources for females to enter the trade. What's the barriers of entry? So there's different, just understanding that's an option, but then once you realize it's an option, what are the barriers of entry? So we're trying to navigate all of those with help from government and to see what we can do.
Excellent.
I think the younger generation, they love their tablets, they love their iPads, they love their technology. And even yesterday I was in a conversation where they even talk differently in the English language with punctuation. It's a new generation coming. And I think technology is going to be a very key part of the future. They don't like pen and paper. They don't want to do things the way that it's always been done. They're pushing the envelope, which is a great thing. And AI and ERP and different softwares are the future.
So do you feel as you went through your own software selection, you weren't just thinking of addressing the corporate goals and the needs, but something that you could deploy that to your field staff to from an ease of use, from the ability that, yeah, we'll use this. This is great. Makes my life easier, which in turn makes, as that trickles all the way up to the office, makes everyone's life easier. Do you feel that part of your decision-making process when you looked at systems, how easy would it be for us to deploy that across because you're a company that spans multiple provinces, you're in the US right now, so the easier you could deploy something, the better the adoption would be. Do you feel that was part of your decision making, not just the functional perspective, but also the adaptability of it?
Absolutely. I think that the money's made in the field. The decisions have to be made in the field. You have to make it easy for the field to use it. It doesn't. Coming from the office as a CFO, the reality is that we report what the field does. So it has to be working, functioning, operating at its highest efficiency in the field. Information coming to the office and back and forth like the traditional older systems doesn't really work in today's environment. Everything has to be real time. It has to be quicker, better, faster, more efficient. So yeah, the field matters. The field is the group of people that really need to buy in and use the software and be willing to learn new things and to develop new technology and new ideas, because that's where the majority of your workforce is, and that's where the money's made, and that's what you need to support.
Particularly for you as a self-performing contractor, you really have hundreds of people in the field that you're reliant upon to get you that information. So that's as opposed to a general contractor where a lot of that is subbed out, but as a self-performing contractor, there's even a greater stress to make sure the information you're getting is accurate so that you can trust it to carry on throughout the rest of the business. So I would imagine that as you give 200 iPads or iPhones, whatever it is, you want to make sure that they're using it and that they're using it correctly. So it has to be so that you can trust the information you're getting back.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest differences that we've seen is real-time data. So when, people don't call me going, hey, can I have this information? They just look at it themselves.
Right.
So it's great because they see real-time data, and it's important that you enter the proper information because there's no way to change it before that manual emailed report goes out.
Right.
On the iPads, whether it's a CEO or it's the site supervisor, they all have the same information, they all have the same data, they're all looking at the same content. So it's all real-time live information that they can make decisions with. They have access to all the information they need. They don't need to pick up the phone. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting change over the last 20 years.
You're a multidimensional type of self-performing contractor. You have a large commercial, primarily your commercial,
Industrial.
and then your industrial, and then you have a lot of the service type of work that's the quick turnovers.
Yeah.
So there's the communication. As a software provider, we hopefully never say that we do everything for everybody, but you've had to deploy because of just a service piece. So the communication from that product to the CMiC, so that again the trusting of the data moving from a third party product through an API. How have you felt when you talk to other contractors? Because as a company as renowned as Servco, a lot of people look to your organization to see what have you done coming from a legacy system, deploying not just one ERP, but then a large portion of your business also on a field application. How has that been getting that information as well to trust it into the ERP system?
It's always a challenge when you change. Probably the biggest decision a company can make is changing their ERP system. So when we did the due diligence and we did the testing of should we not go with CMiC, we actively involved our field staff. We actively involved managers, supervisors, foremen, all different disciplines within our company to make sure that they were bought in, because if they're not bought in, it's really an uphill battle from day one. So we had the advantage of understanding that I'm an ex-field person, so I understood that the field matters and the decisions that they make are instrumental in your business. So we had them actively involved in selecting CMIC, and they really liked the access to the information and the ability to see real-time live data. The office works, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. The
Mhm.
field doesn't. So at 6 o'clock on a Friday night, if they need something, we can't stop them from working. We can't stop them from progressing. And so having access on their phones or on their iPads to information, to be able to make decisions, to be able to order products, to be able to send out RFIs and communicate with the client directly from CMIC. The transparency is really nice. I love the ability to be able to see an RFI, and if it's gone to the client or a PCI, is it with the client or is it with us, or whose action is it? It's really, really transparent, and you can't hide anymore.
No.
It's in your face.
I remember during the selection process, we would be doing the demonstrations, and you would just see all these faces pop up on the screen. I'm like, oh my God, there's like 30 people in this demo.
Yeah.
And we thought at first, this could take some time because there's a lot of people here that are going to vote on something. But I agree with you. The giving people the ability to evaluate and then be part of that decision making, I would imagine the adoption is a lot smoother because
Yes.
now you're part of it.
Yeah.
And we all decide this is going to be best. So let's make sure that it's best, because it's easy to pick. Well, easier to pick.
Mhm.
It's the deployment where let's make sure we're all doing what we should be doing to make this successful.
Yeah, absolutely. We had over 100 people meeting
I
with
know.
your team. So, but we wanted to make sure it was a company decision.
Yeah.
It wasn't an executive decision. You have a few executives, but you have a lot of people in your office and in your field. So having them make that decision, they control their destiny. They control how they want to operate. They like what they see, and they were a huge part of selecting what they love, what they don't love, what they'd like to see.
Mhm.
There was a significant amount of conversations where we went back and forth with your team, and they were all really excited. And it's funny because it was probably about a year after we'd implemented. There was some questions about challenges with CMIC, and I said, well, go back to the demos. What questions did you ask the demos? Because you forget some of the things that you learned in that demo stage. And I mean, even 3-4 years in, we're going back to those demos to remember things on how we did them.
Yeah. It's true. You think about it, sometimes, be on the sales side of it. Wow, there's a lot of people here that are in this demonstration. But by doing it that way, and then the adoption taking over and being successful, it's amazing how those people in the field talking to other subtrades at other customers or at other prospects or other construction companies are actually giving a true evaluation of the solution, as opposed to,
Yes.
having that one person we could talk to, having the ability where you have 200 people saying, positive things, definitely is, it just gives a much better relationship between Servco, its staff, and then of course us as CMIC, the ERP provider.
Yeah, absolutely. Since implementing the PM Construct app in the field, the energy and the hype around CMIC shifted quite a bit. So it was pretty nice to see, the foreman in the field being excited about something, that they had the information they
Yeah.
needed and they weren't stopped. And yeah, so it was a cool thing to see for
Yeah.
sure.
So you've been now live with CMIC for just about 3 years right now, and you've deployed a lot of the tools. I want to talk about it kind of with the labor shortage you're experiencing, how has the tool helped you implementing the workflows, to some extent the AI with the optical character recognition? How has that helped you mitigate the risks of the labor shortage by adopting and really pushing the envelope in terms of using some of the tools we provide?
It's been fabulous. So where you'll have multiple people touching information, data entry to, relaying that information to the field, to the managers, to the executives. We have deployed AI in our AP department, and it's been amazing because it eliminates multiple touches on AP invoices. It comes in, AI recognizes it, AI enters it. One of the people in our office will review it just to make sure that it's entered appropriately, it automatically through workflows goes to the appropriate manager. So it understands the system, it understands who the key player is that needs to approve this cost. So it automatically will workflow to that manager. And in, the historical softwares, you would have a piece of paper that you would either email or you would send a link to on your SharePoint, and they'd have to approve it. It would come back, AP would enter it, somebody else would post it. Whereas now through AI, it enters the invoice, somebody in AP will check that, and it immediately workflows directly to the project cost controller to approve the invoice. And if I'm the project cost controller, I'll approve the invoice and I go run my report. It's real live data, and I already have that cost on my live report. So it's no longer that delay and that wait for information. It just doesn't exist. It's just immediate. It's right there. So I've really enjoyed, and that's obviously being a CFO, I've enjoyed the automation of AI and AP, and also the information of real time through workflows, and eliminating the need to go back and forth in emails and information. It's automated through CMiC.
And just from a rough order of magnitude, we're not talking about 20 invoices a day. You're in the hundreds.
Yeah, we are processing thousands and thousands of invoices a month, and we have reduced, just in our AP department, we went from 7 to 3 in AP payroll. We've done a lot of automation in payroll through different BI reports. The BI analytics has been instrumental in doing our union. We're a union contractor, so we've done a lot of union remittances. It's reduced that department from 7 to 1.5.
Wow.
So it's been, and it's all live and it's all accurate information. There's less people touching it, so there's less room for error. Every time you have 2 people looking at something, or 3 people, or 4 people, or in the old system, sometimes 7, the possibility for errors pretty high.
Yeah.
So it's eliminated a lot of that inaccuracies.
That's great. So that's, right there alone, that's a huge savings.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could redeploy those people to other parts of your organization, and definitely try and, that's one great way to just offset some of that labor shortage. That's that's pretty amazing. So AI, you've been using it for a couple of years now. What do you, in an ideal world, what would be your vision of the next AI that could help you to the next step? What is it that you want to see CMiC as your ERP provider do more from an AI perspective to help? Like, what's the next steps for you guys?
I think in the office, it's developing more workflows with AR. So AP has been done and developed, and AR is in the process right now. So I think we're really looking forward to that, AR workflows. And I think in the field, probably drawings, the drawing management, and how that information you can search through. With CMiC, the search function is amazing. And so getting that information through drawings and through client given information, getting that into CMiC and becoming part of that search function, I think is a really great thing that's going to be coming.
Great. As people that know you very well, you're very vocal in terms of what you require from CMiC. I'd like to talk a little bit about your relationship, not just from a sales perspective, but how have you, to some extent, integrated yourselves with our product team, our executive team, and driving new features and new functionality that would benefit you in the industry to, again, streamline more, not have to have a dependency on another product. Particularly, you helped us a lot with the LEMS development that we're doing right now. So I want to talk more about not the specific in terms of LEMS, but your relationship with us post-sale and with other people within the company, and how you've been an instrumental part in terms of driving new enhancements, new features, and things like that.
Yeah, so we recognized that, not every software will be one size fits all, and there's going to be gaps in software. So one of the ones that we recognized early on was the LEMS process. As especially contractor, LEMS is becoming more and more prevalent in the day-to-day construction environment. Contract lump sum has been kind of the rule of thumb. During COVID, a lot of contractors went to the T&M because nothing was developed. So doing the LEMS on a T&M basis daily for the customer was a challenge for us. So prior to COVID, having a lump sum contract was prevalent in our industry. And since COVID, with not having the engineers working and not having the design ready for us to build, we're doing more design builds, but we're also doing more time and material, T&M contracts, which require daily LEMs. So you have to provide a daily report to the client for your labor, equipment, materials, and subcontractors that are working for you. And that was a gap in the CMiC software. So finding out who at CMiC I needed to talk to, what product developers I needed to become friends with and push along my agenda. So I got together with several other specialty contractors that are in our industry and finding out, what do you need? And it's not a ServcoCanada thing, it's a specialty contractor thing. Yeah. So it wasn't building CMiC for ServcoCanada, it was building specialty contractor usability. Provided CMiC with probably 20 different LEM processes from 20 different companies, ours and several of our subs, and going, this is something that we need. You need to listen to us, please. And you did. At Connect, it was showcased that you guys are developing the LEM process, and you're going to be able to provide that as an automatic part of CMiC. And I think that's a really big part of what we're doing, what we're going to be doing. And it goes back to the live data, real-time information, daily reporting to a customer. It provides some valuable information for us from a budgetary standpoint. Clients love real-time data. The demands from a client are getting more and more and more because they know that through technology, you should be able to provide them with better, quicker, faster information. So with CMiC's support, we have been able to develop that process, and it's going to be an exciting release for sure.
And getting rid of a manual one.
Yeah, everything's paper-based right now.
Yeah.
Everything is manually providing reports, kind of putting them together, giving them to the client, whereas to be able to, instead email a report or through IO send it from CMiC, that'll save a lot of time and energy being able to understand your budgets versus your actuals.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm very excited about, having worked with you for the past almost 4 years now, is just seeing how we've got this great relationship, and we really strive for that at CMiC. It's not just we're not just your supplier, you're not just the customer, and that's that. It's very much a relationship that you're part of an ecosystem, and you can call me, you can call Gord Rollins, you can call Jeff Weiss, you can call pretty much any Steve Cangiano, and it's just the relationship is just there, and we do pride ourselves as an ERP provider to have that as part of our ecosystem. So I'm excited as now we continue to push more functionality, but I'm really excited from my perspective that with all the associations that you're including us in and the speaking engagements that we're doing on how we can now take the CMiC solution that we've really over the past few years given a very specific specialty, I don't want to say spin, but a specialty flavor to it that you helped us with, and how that can really open the doors for us as an organization. So that's my excitement, obviously, for being in sales. But from your perspective, and with all the associations that you're a part of and the foundations you're a part of, and writing this amazing book, what do you see are some of the exciting things for you, and not just personally, but also professionally, over the next 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of changes happening fast right now in the world, and the ability to pick up the phone and to say, hey, I'm having this challenge. How do we solve it? I feel like you're listening. I feel like you're addressing our concerns, never as fast as what I want, because
you're you, yes.
Yeah. But no, I feel like you've proven over the last few years that you are listening and that you are developing the software for specialties. We have different challenges than GCs do, and getting into that specialty market with CMiC has given us the ability to really be alongside you as you're developing CMiC and developing the new field apps and PM Construct. That one has been met with a lot of enthusiasm in our group. Once they figured out it was there and what it all had to offer, it was definitely met with a lot of enthusiasm. So I think that the relationship has been quite easy. Again, I will pick up the phone and I'll figure out who I have to talk to listen to me, to be able to address the concerns that we have, because they're not ServcoCanada concerns. They're especially contractor concerns. We run across multiple provinces in small, medium, and large projects. So the ability for CMIC to work with us to develop different things, and to be able to, be part of that development of the software is really advantageous for us, because it's going to be deployed with usability. There's going to be less challenges because we have been a part of the decision. We have been a part of the roadmap. We've been part of how it was developed and how we're going to use it. One of the very first things when we were buying CMIC was that, can somebody in the field use this? Because if they can't, then it's not the product for us. So build all the different apps, build everything for the field, build it for the guy on his tablet that is running around, the girl that's trying to do her quantity surveys, build it for the field, build it for use, ease of use for everybody that's on the job site. That's a really key component, and reporting is becoming more challenging. So if you can provide that in real time in the field, that's always it's better for everybody. It's better for the project. It's better for the client. It's better for us. It's just all around a better product.
Would you say, because prior to selecting us, you had gone through an extensive search for about a year?
Many years, yeah.
Would you say part of your decision making, other than all the things you mentioned, did you think that you would have that kind of access to that, to being part of that from a development perspective? Or was that someone in your decision making that, I know no one's going to do 100% of what we need.
Correct.
But I would like to find a provider that will actually work with us to, push the envelope and do more development? Or was that just luck, or did you actually, when you looked at different companies, you want to make sure you could have that avenue to have that door open?
Yeah, I definitely opened that door during the stage of analyzing whether we should go to CMIC or not. No software is going to do everything, and when we evaluated picking CMIC, it could do more without APIs than any other software we could find. So APIs are great. They add a lot of value, but if your core software can eliminate, 4, 5, 6 other softwares, and you, instead of having 12 APIs, you now have 3 or 4, you just are a better business and you're functioning at a higher capacity. So understanding that there was limitations, but what was acceptable and what wasn't, and things that were wish list items didn't necessarily mean that we were not going to select CMIC. So did it do our core business? Yes. Did it do a lot of extras? Absolutely. And things that we found that were important that maybe it didn't do, we recognized early on, and we were willing to work with CMIC to develop that. So that was from the very beginning. The LEMS, for example, that was one that was front and center through the entire due diligence, and it was required. It was required as a specialty contractor. And so we bought CMIC knowing that it would be developed in time, and it has. So it's been really nice to work with the teams and to have the communication, the collaboration, pick up the phone saying, hey, this is great. You missed this point, because we're in the field. We're the ones that are using the product. The developers might not be field people. They're software people.
Yeah.
They talk languages I don't understand, right? And we talk languages they don't understand. So it's really a really good collaboration on what we need in the field and what they can build behind the scenes.
Great. Judy-Lynn, as always, thank you so much for giving us your time. This has been a lot of fun doing this with you, and I look forward to the release of the book. You said November. That'll be exciting to see that. Once again, thank you very much for being such a proponent of CMIC, and really have enjoyed the relationship with you and your entire organization.
Thanks, Laurent. Yeah, it's been fun.